Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another episode of The Ways We Move, the podcast where we talk about innovative mobility solutions and and the people driving them, by the way. So basically, what is up and coming in the world of transportation mobility? How will you get to work, go on a cruise, go anywhere, basically? Anything that links all the different modes of traveling that we've had up until now. And of course, we talk a lot about advanced air mobility because it not only is the future, but it has a lot of potential to bring everything together, to wrap it all together. And we'll see why. And well, obviously, if you've been following the podcast, you will see why. My name is Nicolas Zart, and I will be again your host on today's podcast. And I'm smiling because I have, well, yet again, another special guest, special invitation. I've known Hany Mustafa for many years, and I'm amazed by this person. This is someone who has been in the aviation industry since the early 70s. So he's seen it all the big changes, if you can think about it, from going to, uh, uh, anyway, all the big changes he's seen them. But he's also embraced advanced air mobility almost about 10 years ago, much like me too. And he tells us a little bit more about what's happening in the Quebec area, specifically in the Montreal area. Every time I hear Hany, I learn something new. Every time I see him talk anywhere around the world, I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing what these guys have over there. So this time I asked him to sort of wrap it all together and tell us, why is Montreal such a hot spot for advanced air mobility, such a hot spot for aviation, and traditionally it has always been. So I hope you will like this podcast because we talk about not only why Montreal is important in the advanced air mobility industry and probably a very unique hotspot that's you can't find that anywhere else in the world, but why also the government works really well with private companies and funding and I wouldn't say subsidizing, but at least funding all of that to work really well together. What universities are doing to make sure that their students find the right kind of internships and get hired after that. And then lastly, well, we always end up with the same question. Why are you doing this? You should be retired by now, living somewhere in the Bahamas or I don't know where. And so Hany tells us all of that. I hope you will enjoy this episode because Hany is a wonderful and dear friend of mine and someone I always look up to because of his insight, his not just advanced air mobility insight, but aviation all around aviation. And as usual, please like, subscribe, share, and write down your comments. Tell us a little bit more about what is your understanding of the future of mobility? What is innovative to you? What does advanced air mobility and do you think it should be part of your future? Will it be part of your future? What is your understanding of AAM? And if you are listening to us or watching us, you probably know what it is by now. Again, share, like, subscribe, and comment. We would love to hear from you guys. And without any further ado, we will hear from Hany Mustafa. And I for once, I can't give you all the titles that he has because this man is everywhere and he doesn't miss a beat. He has many titles. You can check him out on LinkedIn. His name is spelled Hany, and then Mustafa, Moustapha. It's spelled the French way, and of course, we speak French very often, and you'll hear a little bit of French slipping in and out of this podcast. But we certainly hope you've enjoyed this, and we'd love to hear your comment and feedback on it. Thank you. Hany, take it away.
Perfect. Excellent.
So, Hany, please introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do? And I've known you for a long time now.
Okay, thank you very much for this introduction, Nicola. My name is Hany Mustafa. I'm stationed here in Montreal, so I had very close to 35 years of experience with Pratt & Whitney Canada as their Director of Technology and Collaboration. Actually, I did my Master and PhD also for Pratt & Whitney Canada. That's why they hired me. So actually, I was responsible for all the technology program for Pratt & Whitney collaboration with Europe, with China, with USA, of course. And also I sit representing Pratt & Whitney in the academia since 2000 on the NATO applied vehicle technology panel, which deal with all aircraft engine, etc. What I'm doing now actually is, after my retirement from Pratt & Whitney for the past 15 years, I'm with University of Quebec École Technologie Supérieure, which is a engineering school of University of Quebec. And what I'm doing, I was director of the aerospace program at École Technologie Supérieure. But in a nutshell, what I'm doing now today, is first of all, I have an industrial share with Pratt & Whitney Canada on multidisciplinary design optimization of aircraft engine. And normally the industrial share is funded by Pratt & Whitney and the government, and I have students stationed at Pratt & Whitney. I have another share also with Siemens Energy on industrial engine, again, design optimization, etc. So I have these shares since 2010, and they're going to go until 2028. So I have very close to 15 students. In addition to that, over the last 6 years, what I'm doing is we created in Quebec a very nice network of 8 universities, 5 engineering schools, 3 business schools, which are the top universities in Quebec. And we call that the SDG. SDG stands for Smart Digital Green. Okay. And at the same time, as we know, this is an acronym of Sustainable Development Goal of the United Nations. It started as 4.0, and after that, as you know, 4.0 is gone, 5.0 is coming. After that, X.0. So I guess we decided to brand it, and it's a trademark actually, Smart Digital Green for us, innovation.
Good.
It's a network, as I mentioned, of 8 universities. We have very close to $45 million funding from big company like Alstom, Pratt & Whitney, Siemens, etc. And also small, medium enterprise, plus the government also put money. And we are doing education, research, and reach out, etc. here. And I have between 200 and 300 professors between the 8 universities. We have a research committee, and we have forum every year. What did we do part of that? Because we are in Montreal, and as you know, Montreal, the activity when it comes to aviation is huge. I mean, this is what you call civil aviation capital, because it's one of the very few cities within 30 kilometers you can design an aircraft totally here, because we have the bus, we have some Boeing, we have Bombardier, we have Bell Helicopter, we have all the engine people like Pratt, like Rolls-Royce, like Messi Dauti, Safran, which is etc. here. So we have all the company plus CAE for simulation, AeroDevTech, Messi Dauti.
That's true.
So we have everything. Plus we have, of course, ICAO, we have IATA, all of these things. So we have everything. Plus we have very fortunate because we have 4 universities in Montreal, 2 English, 2 French, very high concentration of students per capita. It's one of the highest when I talk about aerospace. So we're fortunate with that. And of course, the government is funding us a lot. And that's why exactly here I'm going to come to the main thing of what our discussion, Nicola, which is they created what we call the Aerospace Innovation Zone. And we have 3 zones, and the zones are attached to the 3 airports which we have. So we have the Montreal Trudeau Airport, which is the main one, international. In addition to that, we have Mirabel Airport, which used to be international. And we have Saint-Hubert also, which is on the South Shore. So these are the 3 airports. And now here, the 3 poles out of those zones are in each one of those. And around each one of those, like if you look at Saint-Hubert, we have Pratt & Whitney, we have AeroDevTech, we have the Canadian Space Agency, we have École Nationale Aéronautique, Center of Technology, of Aerospace Technology. When you look at downtown here, or at least Saint Laurent, where you have Montreal Trudeau, you have the Bombardier of the world, you have CAE, you have CMC. When you go to Mirabel, also you have lots of company, Pratt again, Bombardier, you have Bell Helicopter, you have MHI, you have Airbus with of course the 220, which is all Bombardier C series. So you can see the concentration is huge. Based on that, the network here, which I'm leading, we decided 2 years ago to create like an advanced air mobility institute, because after the zone has been created, the focus of the zone is number 1 on advanced air mobility and also decarbonization, etc., electrification, all of that. That's a focus in addition to other stuff.
And also, just to say something, it has nothing to do with the AAM Institute here in the United States. This is something that you guys have on your own, right?
Absolutely.
I think people need to understand that you have nothing to do with that.
Absolutely. Okay, as a matter of fact, the acronym for us is SDG-AAM. And SDG, so we have to attach it to the network. because it gets funding from the government through the network. So we have to make sure that it is part of the network. So it's called SDG, Advanced Air Mobility Institute. And it is, as I mentioned, the 8 universities are involved. We have an executive. The story of it started again with the announcement of the zone, which is in May 2024. After that, at Farnborough, actually, we made like big progress, and we had partnership, guess with who? With Aéroport de Montréal, which is exactly. Perfect. And that's big. That's big because we need airport beside us. And it just happens that I know very well the president, director general, the Aéroport de Montréal, Yves Bouchon. He's a mechanical industrial engineer, by the way. And he's the one, and he used to be the PDG of École Technologie Supérieure, and I know him for almost 30 years, and he's the one who hired me. He's the one who hired me.
So he has experience, he's an engineer, and he runs an airport. That's pretty high credit right there.
Exactly. So
wow.
Can you imagine here, the first thing he did here, he hired somebody to be VP of Technology and Innovation, an excellent lady, Vivienne Chua, and we are working with her. So we have a very nice team, and he started building people from who retired from CAE, from Pratt & Whitney, from Bombardier. So he has now a team of people because he has 2 mandates. The first mandate is to develop the Trudeau Airport, what we call YOL, YOL Airport, because now the capacity is about 18, 19, 20 million passengers per year. So he's projecting about 35 million in 2035. So he has almost like a $10 billion investment for the next 10 years to have more ramps, to have more things. And now we have the RAM, which is the Réseau Express de Métropolitain, which is a monorail, of Alstom, which is going to connect, of course, to the airport. So he has a big thing happening with that. And that's why we're helping also, because there are lots of technology which we are developing, which can fit also for YOL. In addition to that, we have the Mirabel, it's called YMX. YMX is at Mirabel. So they have a facility there. They bought a new facility, and they want to have all kind of testing of eVTOL. That's a whole plan now. So, and Farnborough announced that he's going to give us funding, very close to $1.5 million funding for the institute to do many research projects. We have 5 research projects, actually, with a contribution of very close to $2 million from him. In addition to that, also, we're going to get something from maybe Wisk, Jant, Beta. There are different companies also involved. So with this $2 million, I can go and get another maybe $8 million from the government for students to support them for the next 3 to 5 years. So that's what we are doing now. And we created an institute in order to manage that. And in institute, we have 2 areas. We have the research branch, which is led by one of the professors we have in the network, and we have the educational branch, because you have to educate the people. You have to have, like your program, your program which you are doing, all of that here, we need that for.
Thank you. Yeah, that's something that we're all saying is education is very key right now. We know the technology is working. It has been working for a while. Regulation is what we're waiting on. But in the meantime, education. So my question to you is, I think most people don't realize how Quebec is such a hot spot when it comes to aviation and aerospace, and also why you have so many companies out there. So historically, why was this region of the world, which you don't always think about, it's cold in the winter, right? You don't think about as being an aviation hotspot. Historically, what made Quebec such a hot spot for aviation, according to you?
That's a very good question, because I have been with Pratt & Whitney, as you know, since the early 70s. So it's very close to almost over 55 years now, if I include my master and PhD. So I have witnessed the growth and the move of so many companies. Of course, it goes back to Pratt & Whitney Canada, which is a branch of Pratt & Whitney in the USA, when it was only maintenance, repair for piston engine, etc. And after that, we stopped developing our turboprop, which is a PT6 engine, etc. So it started with Pratt & Whitney. Exactly. Yeah. And we are mainly, Pratt & Whitney Canada is mainly turboprop, turbofan, turboshaft, up to 80 passenger, APU, etc. After that, you have also Bombardier, de Havilland in terms of also air.
Canadair.
Exactly, Canadair, all of that. So there is a history behind that. You have also CAE Simulation, which is it's a Canadian company. You have CMC, which used to be Marconi. So we had already at least 4 or 5 big companies to do that. In addition to that, the Quebec government realized that this is a niche for us, because you have an aircraft company, you have an engine company, you have a simulation company. So they start attracting so many, like Bell Helicopter, by the way, was only established here in the 70s. HI moved recently, like 5-6 years ago. Airbus only moved recently when they acquired the C series, as you know. Safran also. These are all newcomers. They realize here. I mean, Montreal is a very multicultural city, number one.
It is. It's beautiful. It is.
Exactly. There is a big pool of student and university. And Quebec, we have so many programs. We have joint master of aerospace program between the 6 top universities in Quebec. That's an example. Wow. We have a consortium which, before even advanced air mobility, we have a consortium which is called Advanced Montreal Aerospace Institute, which has 6 universities. The 4 in Montreal plus Laval, Sherbrooke. We have CRIAC also, which is government funded, which is a consortium to do industry driven. So all of these have brought lots of investment. So your answer, in addition to that, of course, you have the ICAO here, which has been here for so many years. So when you put all of that, it was attractive and it just kept on growing.
And it's something to have all of those companies out there, which of course makes it a wonderful place and an amazing place you want to go to. But it's also another thing to now embrace the future of aviation, advanced air mobility. So tell me a little bit about that. How did that happen? Because I've noticed in my experience, 50% of the people are, it's hype, it'll never happen. And then the other 50% are like, all right, we're thinking about it. But there are not a lot of people like you and me who are futurists and see it happening. So how did it happen in your neck of the woods?
It's happened even myself, I mean, I start knowing, of course, I know electric aircraft because when I was at Pratt & Whitney, we have more electric engine where you can use some of the power from the turbo, from the turbine here to drive some of the accessory, etc. So the issue about more electric engine is not new for us.
Right.
We have tilt rotor. We have been working on tilt rotor. I'm talking if I put my Pratt & Whitney hat, Canada hat. So recently, obviously, with all the hype which is going in USA, as far as Archer, Obi, what's happening in Europe, and all the drive for electrification and low emission, low noise, all of that. As you know here, when you have distributed propulsion, you automatically have low noise, and that's
of course.
So I mean, the eVTOL, you can see it before you hear it, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
So we know about all of that things. So it started growing for the last 5-6 years with the rest of the world, actually. So we say here, we cannot trail. We have to be part of that. And that's why here's the emphasis from the government, creating lots of money, consortium fund available for that. So we have so many, federal and provincial, by the way, for sustainable aviation fuel, let's say, for electrification, for HEPS, hybrid electric propulsion system. I'm working on a big project with Pratt & Whitney Canada on that, and I have students working on that, actually.
Wow.
So I'm involved in that myself in terms of research-wise. So all of that, to answer your question, it's part of the momentum and the growing and the funding, which is being done mostly in Quebec, but also federal, give us money. But it's Quebec, number one. And don't forget, aerospace is the only industry in Canada which has a trade surplus, by the way. Yes.
Oh, so are you saying something about maybe that's why there's a little bit of a tariff war right now? Hello?
So the only industry with a surplus in terms of that, everybody else. Second, as you know, we have 80 aerospace in Canada, we are number 4, as you know, behind USA, France, and England. We are very close to Germany, actually. And as you know, here we are talking about $30 billion Canadian per year. We are talking also about very close to $1.5 billion in terms of R&D, about 100,000 people working in Canada. And don't forget also that we have 80% export. 80% of the aerospace is exported, by the way. Engine one. Yes. So it's a big asset. That's why the trade surplus, by the way.
And it's starting to make a lot of sense now because I finally figured out why they have tariffs against Mexico, but I couldn't understand against Canada. But this actually now... Well, hang on a second. I don't think it makes sense. I understand why. I'm not justifying it or not, but yeah. Okay, thanks for saying that because that actually shines a very big light on what's happening.
It's very big, as I mentioned, and just to complete the story, as far as the advanced air mobility, that's why lots of people, and as you know, this is new, and it makes sense. It makes sense, and it's needed.
Sure.
Now you're gonna drive me. What's in it for Quebec? Because we don't wanna be the Me Too, if you know what I mean. Don't forget that we have very what we call region, which is a remote region for the First Nation, for the autochthone, as you know. How can we reach them, by the way? That's one story. How can I reach them, in terms of delivering medical,
Everything, education, everything.
Exactly. And
Absolutely.
Canada is wide, because it was the second in terms of surface area after the Russia, by the way, as you know. So it's very vast, of course, we are second in terms of space, in terms of, surface area, superficie.
Surface area, yeah, superficie, yeah.
Anyway,
Wow, that's true. So yeah, it's like all the ingredients are there, and it's
plus,
so you no, please go on. I'll remember.
Sorry, the manpower, by the way. Don't forget
Yes.
that. The manpower,
Yes.
because we have lots of discussion with Dubai and they wanted us to help them, etc. And of course, they have the money, with all my respect, they can do things, but they don't have the manpower which we have here. We historically, we have, I can give you an example, Nicola. Let's say my university where I am here, it's an engineering school. It's 10,000. Okay. We have, every year, we have 3,000 students doing internship at aerospace company.
Wow.
3,000 per year. Out of the 3,000, I'm sorry, correction, about 600 doing aerospace stage, 4 months paid at company, which is in Montreal, by the way. That's huge.
Wow. Paid, yeah, that's huge.
That's ATS only. If you add McGill and Concordia and Polytechnique, you're talking about 1,000 students being trained 4 months paid on relevant project, and after that they get hired, by the way. Okay, so it's a huge machine, by the way. It's a huge machine. Anyway.
So it's what you're saying is really interesting, because I was speaking with Professor Marilyn Smith, who's a dear friend of ours at Georgia Tech,
yes.
And she's actually been on the podcast before. She was telling me that the last few months have been spent in trying to figure out where is the money going to come for research, and please do not defund NASA. So it sounds like you guys don't have that problem. It sounds like you have a government who's still willing to do the right things. But it also seems like you found the right balance. Private companies are giving, the government is giving, and then education is the centerpiece, and of course research, which obviously makes an industry go round, right? So that's very encouraging.
And this is new, by the way. This is new. It started exactly in 2000. So it's 25 years only. The birth of collaboration of industry university mushroomed only starting in 2020. And I was part of that because I was a Pratt & Whitney Canada Director of Technology.
Wow. And
I was involved into creating the Aero Montreal cluster. That's a cluster of Aero Montreal, of industry, university, research center, government, which has been, I was part of the people who created that. I was part of the people also who created CRIAC, which is a consortium of research of aerospace in innovation in aerospace in Quebec. I was part of the consortium of Montreal Aerospace Institute. I was part of all of these happening, if you know what I mean. And it mushroomed since 2020, and it was like, it just mushroomed, If something is happening, build something else, give more money, etc. So I would myself, let me put it this way.
It's interesting because, it goes back to what a marketing world we live in, because you hear a lot of people talk, right? Obviously, and we're not going to name names, but you don't always hear about what you guys are doing. And of course, I know because I've been talking to you for a few years now, and I've been trying to write more about it. But every time I talk to you, every time I listen to you, every time you say something, I learn something more about what else is happening in Quebec. And it is absolutely astounding. And it surely sounds like you're way more active, at least more integrated as an entire industry and ancillary than anywhere else in the world so far as I can see.
The ecosystem is strong. And I'm going to tell you, we have lots of people from Ohio, from California, from Florida. They come and visit us and they envy us. From Brazil.
Of course.
From even England, from Germany, from France, by the way, because we have a cluster which is very strong. It helps us also, the geography helps us, by the way. Because don't forget, we are all in Montreal.
Yes.
If you go to France, they have 3 different aerospace clusters, if you know what I mean.
Exactly.
In Italy, they have 2. In England, they have 2. Midwest and whatever, But here we are all in Montreal. Of course, something is happening in Toronto, something is happening in Vancouver. But the main aerospace it's like automotive is Ontario, as you know, close to Windsor, Detroit, etc. And here we are the aerospace hub of Montreal. And that's, Montreal, as you know, you have Toulouse and Seattle and Montreal, correct? These are the 3 big cities. These are the 3 big cities.
That's right.
Of course,
that's right.
In terms of sale, of course, Seattle and Toulouse will win. But in terms of concentration, because we have also company which can make an aircraft. With all my respect for Seattle, they have only Boeing.
That's what I was going to say. They only have Boeing. Boeing is also spread out to St. Louis and Charleston. So yeah, but you guys can design,
when you go to Toulouse,
build, and implement. And Toulouse is a assembly.
It's Airbus. It's only Airbus.
And it's an assembly place, right? It's an assembly. They all fly in there and they get assembled.
But Montreal, we have everything. That's why people. This is an advantage. You know why? Also, because lots of engineers keep on moving from one to another. It's very easy. They are mobile. The aerospace engineer. You have people who work at Pratt & Whitney for 10 years, like my daughter, let's say. After that, she went to Bombardier for 10 years. So people just rotate between companies. And that's great.
So here's a question, I think, and this is a question, by the way, that I hear very often is, speaking of Bombardier, speaking of Pratt & Whitney, these are traditional, conventional companies. A lot of people ask, why aren't they doing electric air mobility? Why aren't they designing electric airplanes and everything? And before you answer that, I have to say that give them a break. That's not their business model, right? They make turbofans, turboshaft, turbo turbines, piston engines, and of course, beautiful business jets. My goodness, if I could have a 7,500, I would love it. So, but it is a question that comes out once in a while, and we know that they are looking into it, same way as Siemens, Alstom, Rolls-Royce up until recently. So why are these traditional companies not coming out with more advanced air mobility types of things? By the way, Bombardier does have a blended wing body, a very enticing system. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
I mean, of course, I cannot, I don't know, or I cannot also display all the details of this company. All I can tell you, Pratt & Whitney Canada, they have more electric engine. They are working now on HEPS, which is hybrid electric propulsion system. But don't forget, Pratt & Whitney produce engine, but they need the aircraft. So you have to have an aircraft. You have to have WIS coming to Pratt or Jant or Joby, etc. And these are different, as you know, in terms because they are electric motor, by the way.
Yes.
So you need the company with electric motor. Like Siemens, example, like ABB.
All these guys, yes. Absolutely.
I know they are exploring that, but again, it's a business model because all the eVTOL company around the world. If you start from eHang to SkyDrive, to I know here Volcopter and Lilium are now belly up. They are not in business. As you know, Airbus also abandoned that. So we are left with few. Like Archer is doing well, Joby is doing well. So it's only now 6 or 7, if you know what I mean. But the rest.
And it's normal, right? Disruptive technologies, always the same thing. You've got a flurry of them, and then less and less and less. So this is normal.
And who knows? After a few years, maybe some of them will join together. Who knows? Archer and Joby will join together. Wisk and John will join together, okay?
I will bet you that will never happen, but who knows? You never know that.
No,
but you're right. You never know, and it will happen.
How can you imagine that Bombardier and Airbus are partners?
No, not Bombardier and Airbus, but I was thinking of Archer and Joby specifically. But then again, you're right. Electra. Remember, Electra was two companies, right? Airfoil and Electra. So you're right. It makes perfect sense. Well, I mean, and look at our friends, John Air Mobility. But you and I know very well Martin and the whole team. And guess what? That was the best thing that ever happened.
Exactly.
Perfect. It makes perfect sense.
What about GE and Pratt & Whitney? They're working together, They never worked together. So it's happening.
Safran and GE on their LEAP engines and everything.
CFM. Exactly. Bombardier with Airbus, you work because of C series. As you know, Boeing and Embraer, sometimes they're talking to each other. Anyway, but these things are happening because you come up.
These things have to happen.
That it is risk management, etc. here because the technology are getting mature. It's happening. Yes. So that's a landscape here. Anyway, yes.
So and unfortunately, we only have 10 more minutes, and by that time we usually go into, Hany, what gets you out of bed in the morning? I mean, why are you still doing this? This is insane. You could have gotten a job somewhere, become, the president of a company, retired and everything. You're still driven. You're still motivated. We're not going to say how old you are, but I am impressed because you're traveling all over the world. You're having talks and you're on stage, everything. So what is your motivation?
Okay, that's a very good question. Number one here, I don't believe in retirement. Okay, that's number one. I can slow down. I can change my pace. And that's why when I left Pratt & Whitney, I knew here when I was at Pratt & Whitney at the end of my career, I left 62. I have been with ATS for 15 years, so I'm sure you can guess my age now. I can tell that. Anyway, so having said that, when I left Pratt & Whitney, Pratt & Whitney kept me always as a senior advisor, technology senior research fellow, and that's why I have that. I attached to that, so I cannot work with any competitors of Pratt & Whitney, as you know, almost because I was managing technology. So I respect that, obviously. In addition, I get something from ATS, which I never expected, that they hire me as a full-time professor, and they give me all the facility and all the thing, because I told them, I don't want to, I'm working now for fun. I'm not working for money, for things like that. And if I can contribute, if you know what I mean. And now
And you do.
And sometimes the PDG of ADM, when he spoke to me last year, it was in a dinner, he told me, Hany, we are working on that. Are you guys working on that too? I told him yes. And after that, we started working, It's like Siemens and Pratt & Whitney. I have some professional obligation for the project, which I'm with them until 2028. So it's that. Having said that, I'm into partial retirement, actually, until 2028. Okay, call it whatever you want. Which is still 5 days a week, by the way. It's called it partial retirement, but it's 5 days a week. Anyway, but I have to admit, yeah.
I have to tell you, I want to write your book. I want to write your story because you have more to say than anybody you've ever met. But I really, really, please consider, because I want to write your book.
Thank you, my friend. I one day, here I always think about writing, because it's a big journey, actually. What I've been doing, especially industry, academia. Involved into NATO, etc. Here. Yes. But now I have to admit also, if what I'm asking, I'm still doing my job at ATS. The research project which we are working on, I know we did not touch on that, but I can tell you it's have to do with digital twin, with mapping the aerospace into airspace in Montreal. It has to do with cybersecurity. It has to do with all kind of 5G and 6G and IT and so on. So we have so many projects, research project, doing that, which is more or less industry driven from WISC, JUNT, Beta, the people who are here, if you know what I mean. So these are our main customer, So I'm having fun, I say I'm having fun, and I can say no to anything I don't want to do. If you
That's beautiful. Yes,
I'm not running after contract, and I keep on getting so many headhunters, etc. I told them, no, listen, I'm okay. I don't want to have any big position like CEO position. I don't want to have that, frankly speaking. I'm happy with what I'm doing. And I have
and you've worked hard for that privilege, and you should really thoroughly enjoy it. And I know you are thoroughly enjoying it. So we only have, unfortunately, 5 minutes left to go. But I just want to say thank you for being here. And
pleasure,
yes, we didn't touch on everything, but here's the thing. Come back whenever you want. We can continue talking about this, because I know with you, we can continue talking for a long time. You have so much experience, and you're doing so many things, and you're in a part of the world where everything is fitting together really well. So thank you again for taking the time
pleasure.
to be with us.
One thing I just want to close by here, as I mentioned to you in our telephone conversation, we're going to have on November 27, 2025, our first advanced air mobility forum at Mirabel, because this is the zone where we're going to have testing, when we're going to have a control center, when we're going to have all kind of activity related to that. We're going to do that like an every year event. In addition to what other event like ICAO, this one, we're going to always be supporting all other events, by the way. So this will be our event, This will be our event of the Institute, SDG AM Institute, and in collaboration with Aéroport de Montréal.
Yes, thank you. And you stole the words out of my mouth, because I was going to ask you anything that we should know. So it's going to be in Montreal, end of November, the 27th. Exactly. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so anybody who wants to know more about it, please reach out to us. I'll give Hany's email, whoever wants to.
And we'll invite you for sure, Nicolas. We need you to be part of that, because we need international speaker. Unfortunately, I know it fall into the Thanksgiving, but it's
well, I think we will be missing it this year, because we're going to be in Portugal a few days before. So yeah, there's plenty of things that we need to talk about. So anyway, but thank you, Hany, for being with us today. And again, listeners, watchers, if you have any questions, please write them on the comments so that we can see what you want to hear about. How do you understand advanced air mobility? And here's the question. Did you know that Quebec was that integrated and had such a diversity and ecosystem of aerospace and aviation companies? So please like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. And see you next week.
Excellent. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.